Caylee Anthony clears a hurdle. She's now one step closer to having taxpayers pay for her legal fees. All this as cops release a ton of new DNA evidence. There's just one teensy tiny problem. None of it seems to make any sense. What will this mean for the case? Plus, an incredibly courageous 7-year-old boy saves his entire family calling 911 as 3 armed men break into his house.
911, teacher emergency.
There's some guys who are gonna kill my mom and dad. Can you come?
We'll have all the astounding details about this brave little boy. And that is one cute kid. We're going to cover that story in just a bit. But first, mind-blowing new details in the Caylee Anthony murder case. First, a brand new document dump with tons of DNA test results. There's just one teensy tiny little problem. They're completely unreadable, to us anyway. Prosecutors released tons of graphs. These are apparently the result of several DNA tests. That looks like a white piece of paper there, but there's a lot of squiggles on it, believe me. Investigators did DNA tests on Caylee, her parents, and even her brother. DNA tests were also done on some of Caylee's hairs that were found in Caylee's trunk and showed one of those hairs came from Caylee's head after she was already dead. That's what the prosecution says. Jose Baez tells Issues he wants his experts to double-check those results because they're so crucial, and his team should have no problem understanding all these squiggles. Plus, shocking new details about how much moolah Caylee's defense team is raking in. We've been wondering all along. We even asked Jose Baez when he was on Issues a couple of times. Oh, here's a question I know you're not going to be able to answer, but you don't just have good lawyers. You've got a dream team. And everybody in America wonders, how is she paying for this dream team?
Well, that's confidential, and I'm not in the business of revealing client confidences.
Well, this morning, a court ruled Caylee is flat broke. They call it indigent. She cannot pay for her own defense, so taxpayers will have to foot the bill if a judge okays it. So now the cost of her defense is revealed for all to see. Caylee has already paid her 2 lead attorneys more than 100 clams. Actually, it's 100,000 clams. She allegedly got some of that money for selling photos of Caylee to a major news network. Plus, the shocking evidence Caylee's defense wants off the table. Will this chilling 911 call made by Caylee's mom, Cindy, make it into the courtroom?
Found out my granddaughter has been taken. She has been missing for a month. Her mother finally admitted that she's been missing.
Okay, what is
here now?
Your daughter admitted that the baby is where?
But the babysitter took her a month ago that my daughter's been looking for. There's something wrong. I found my daughter's car today, and it smells like there's been a dead body in the damn car.
Of course, the defense wants to keep that out. Straight out to my fantastic panel, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Mark Eiglarsh, and Aphrodite Jones, host of an amazing new series that is premiering tomorrow at 10 p.m. It's called True Crime on Discovery, Investigation Discovery. Check it out. And also joining me, in-session correspondent on True TV, Gene Casares. Gene, what is the very latest?
Well, the very latest has to do with the indigency of Caylee Anthony. The clerk's office determined she was indigent, flat broke. Now a judge will have to stamp it and sign it off. But, Jane, what the defense is asking for are costs. They are not asking for legal fees. They are asking for costs. So she's been determined to be indigent for costs, meaning depositions and travel and expenses, everything that has to do with it. But this handwritten application, you're right, from Caylee in her own handwriting shows that Jose Baez has been paid $89,454.83. She says paid by myself. And Andrea Lyons, $22,500 paid by myself. But she also says she has no assets and no income.
So I'm a little bit confused, Mark Eiglarsh. I thought she was flat broke when her child disappeared. We all know she didn't have a job. She lied about it and said she was working at Universal and led cops on this wild chase down there, and they figured out, she doesn't have a job. So how did she get that money? I understand possibly deals?
I lost sound.
Yes. Yeah, possibly. We know that these photographs have been sold to numerous outlets. Let me just say this. This isn't shocking at all. First, there's no question at this point we knew that she'd be able to claim insolvency. She doesn't have anything. But every defendant in the state of Florida is entitled to have reasonable cost money. Now, where does it become relevant to me where she's getting this money is because now I'm being asked to pay for it. So now I do want to know how she was able to pay for Jose, how she's paying for Ann Lyons. Is there going to be money coming in the future? Now we'll all probably find out because a judge, Judge Strickland, hopefully, will do a thorough inquiry as to how she had money and how she's going to get money in the future.
Why didn't she get a public defender right off the bat? If she was indigent at the time of this case starting, why didn't they give her a public defender?
That is a great question because she did not need one. Either Jose and Ann Lyons and others worked for free or others paid their bill. That doesn't mean they have the ability to pay for costs. I've been on a number of cases where clients have just enough money to hire me, but then they have no money to pay for depositions, investigators, experts, etc. And that's what's going on here.
Okay, and meantime, the defense wants to make sure jurors won't see photographs of Casey partying it up while her daughter Caylee was missing. These photos of Casey at a bar were reportedly taken after little Caylee had disappeared. There's the mom who had claimed she was doing investigation to try to find the child. Some investigation, huh? Casey had not yet reported her daughter missing to police. She told investigators, oh yeah, this was an effort to find little Caylee. Gene Casares, obviously, that has got to be perhaps the most damaging evidence in terms of state of mind and motive.
You're right, exactly, especially the photos that were 5-6 days after Caylee was last seen. That's June 20th, June 21st. What the defense is saying, though, it's not relevant. It's not relevant, and even if it is relevant, it is so inflammatory that the jury is going to hold that prejudice against Caylee Anthony. You know, Jane, there's photos from 2007, 2008, a lot of photos, all from her photo bucket. Yeah. I think the judge may disallow the early on ones, but those close in time, I think he might just say they're relevant.
Aphrodite Jones, what's your take on the defense move to get rid of these incriminating photos of her partying after her child disappears and the 911 call where her mom says it smells like a dead body in the damn car? The two most incriminating things since we've heard about this case.
You know, Jane, you and I both know, sitting in courtrooms for many years, that the defense is going to do what they can to keep out things that are going to prejudice a jury, and that the judge ultimately has to make a decision whether or not on appeal that a prejudicial piece of information that may be considered irrelevant to the murder later can be used as a strategy to gain a new trial, to get somebody out of being convicted on appeal. So it's a fine line that we walk when we think about in terms of what kind of evidence do you let in and what don't you let in. Now, that said, Jane,
not all these photos should come in. Not all of them. I mean, you know, clearly those before her child went missing, arguably relevant. The prosecutor may say, look, she just wanted to party and wanted the daughter out of her life. Clearly the ones after she went missing and she's out partying, for sure coming in. But listen, Jane, if you had a speeding ticket and someone wanted to introduce photos of you 10 years ago in heavy, you know, alcoholism, what relevance does that show? You know,
hey, I published a photo of myself drinking in my book to make the point that it's not a pretty picture. Go ahead, Gene Casares.
No, what I was going to say is I think everybody's on board with this. I think the defense is mounting a fight, and they have to. This is a death penalty case, and there has to be strict scrutiny as to what comes in and what doesn't, because there can be reversible error.
All right, Jim, your question or thought? Point? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. What I wanted to say is this. While at the same time you have to walk the fine line with what's going to be allowed in and what isn't, at the end of the day, if you relate the state of mind in terms of motive of this mother, the idea that she is at a nightclub partying days after her daughter is missing and that it was caught on film, on camera, speaks to the fact that she basically had started a new chapter in her life. And if you look at, for example, Scott Peterson, where it was a completely circumstantial case, one of the things that was brought into evidence was the fact that he had turned the nursery into a storage unit for all intents and purposes.
Excellent point. Jim Maine, quick thought.
Yes. I on this Caylee Anthony thing, they want us to pay it, taxes. Why can't the judge just give her a public defender and get rid of these high-paying attorneys?
Well, I asked the same question. I still don't have a good answer for that, Mark. I mean, she was broke when the whole case started.
She's entitled to have the attorneys that she wants. Separate and apart from that, the law gives a defendant costs if they can't afford it. He can't just take away the attorneys. The public defender's office, by the way, would be us paying for it anyway.
By the way,
so
they say they're going to give her $15,000 to handle this case. That'll last her maybe a week and a half. What's she going to do after that? We're going to continue to stay on this story. Thank you, fantastic panel, and congratulations on your new show, Aphrodite.